Hello and welcome to the Happy Soul Show. My name is Janine Roberts. I'm the host of the show and I'm the owner of Happy Soul Healing. And tonight I am very excited to welcome my guest, Brownell. Is it Landrum?
Yes, Landrum, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Brownell, I'm so happy to have you here on the show. She is an author. She has written many books on reincarnation, metaphysical mysteries. She is actually originally from right here in Kentucky, about an hour from where I live, and currently in Atlanta. She is living that travel life that most people want, that nomadic. Nomadic life that we all would love to have, right? So, thank
Ma'am.
you for coming. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I just want to be a happy soul. That's kind of the goal, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. There's so many
Just
unhappy
be a happy
souls.
soul. I'm all for
Yeah,
that. Happy is
yeah,
good.
absolutely. So, yeah, so you're currently in Atlanta. You've
I
been
am.
in Aspen this year as well, and you've done a lot of traveling. So tell us just a little bit about this nomadic lifestyle that you live so I can be all jealous.
It's been interesting on so many levels. It started about 12 months ago, 14 months ago. I was living in Aspen. I'd been there 7 years and getting a little entrenched. And then all of a sudden, my landlord out of the blue says he wants to raise the rent 50%. And
Ooh,
I'm
that's
like,
a big
yeah,
raise.
that was a big raise. Now, I mean, in all honesty, he hadn't raised it since I'd lived there, but still, that was a big jump. And I was kind of like, okay, this is the universe kicking me in the butt to go do something
Yeah.
else. And so I was like, where do I go? And I was feeling kind of really restless. And I thought, well, I'm writing a new book, which is coming out soon. Actually next week, the We Meet
Nice.
Again trilogy, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And I was writing about that. And there's a lot of Italy in the story. So I thought, I'll go to Italy. I had never really been to Italy other than if you count driving across the border from France, seeing that little town and then driving back. So it was kind of a big deal, but I thought, well, that's the only place that I feel drawn to. And then I thought, well, I'm going to go for a year. And I got an apartment. I got this amazing apartment for a year. And then all of a sudden I found out they're not even taking visa applications. So I didn't have any choice. I could only go with what they call a travel visa for 3 months. And then I was going to have to go somewhere else for 3 months if I wanted to go back for another 3 months. So it was this
Yeah.
kind of crazy situation. I thought, well, okay, I'll go for 3 months. I went to Florence, and but the place in between, I had to go somewhere outside of the European Union, and it was going to be from mid-January to mid-April. So that kind of influenced the decision. And I started looking at Tunisia, which for Americans, I think I was the only American in like maybe the whole country. I certainly know I was the only American that I ran into while I
Where
was
is
there.
that at? Is that there near
It
Italy? Like,
is. It is. It's Northern Africa, kind of in the middle,
mm,
and it's 92 miles from Sicily.
gotcha.
So, like, very, very close as the crow flies, as they say. And I thought, well, that's got to be good because it's going to be similar time zones, similar everything. I wouldn't have to go too far. And I had a fan from my original novels from there. So I thought, well, okay, that's enough of a sign. I'll look there. Found this amazing resort. I mean, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful resort on the water, view of the Mediterranean sunrise from my
Ooh, I
window,
bet that was nice.
and $1,000 a month, including 2 meals a day.
Wow.
And
Well, you
I'm like,
can't beat
sign me
that.
up. I'm there. It was, and I was like, I don't even,
Wow.
I honestly didn't even know what languages they spoke when I went there. And I found out it's French and Arabic, which neither of which I could handle very well. And so okay. So mid-January, I went to Tunisia and had this really, we know about these spiritual encounters, right? You meet somebody and
Yeah.
okay, this is meant to be, something is
Mhm.
really compelling me here. And I meet a man the day after I get there. Like I get there in the evening, Thursday evening, Friday morning, I meet him. And then about 2 months, about 2 weeks after that, my book writing person, a coach, advisor said, you need to write a story. And in the book world, they call that a reader magnet. It's something for people to know more about you. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to write the story about this experience. And I'm writing it from the point of view of what I call the upstairs. And we can all use different terms for whatever that means, but that was just kind of a term I used. And I'm writing it from their perspective of how did they try to have this American woman and a British man meet in Tunisia. And I'm writing it, it's kind of whimsical and fun. And then all of a sudden I'm realizing, wait, they're telling me who they are. And these characters are real. And that just kind of led me on a whole nother path, because I had to basically find out they had been the ones with the obstacle on the visa. They had been the ones setting all of this up. Like, all of a sudden you realize and we kind of say, oh, well, things happen for a reason, or, maybe we were guided, but this was just even that to a, more profound level.
Yeah,
and so now, and so it led me to write the story that's called The End, a Love Story to the Universe. And it's free for everybody to read. I want to offer it. I've had several people tell me they think it could be a college course, and it's only 9,000 words. So that's a trip to go there. And so that kind of led me. And so I'm just kind of listening to what they want. I was going to go back to Italy, and then that fell apart. So then I went back to Aspen for a couple of months to get heart ablation procedure. I don't know what that is, but when you have an irregular heartbeat, it's a way of protecting you from that. And that fixed my heart. And then I had other heart issues that were the emotional kind that I was dealing with as well. And so all these plans that I thought I was going to do just kind of weren't following what my plan was. Let's put it that way. And I just kind of had to let go and say, where do they want me? And so I came to Atlanta for a few months. I'm in a hotel. That's what all of, this decor is. And I don't know where I'm going to go next.
Wow. Are you loving it though? Do you love that life?
There's a lot to love about it. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Like here where I'm staying in a long-term stay hotel. They have great breakfast in the morning. So I just go down, I work, I have people around me. So it kind of is better than just sitting in a room all day. And they have a kitchen. They provide dish soap and paper towels, like all the things you think you have to deal with in life. It just, all the hassles are taken away. There's a pool, there's, all these things. And when I was in Tunisia, it was a beautiful buffet of food. The food was amazing. I got really healthy there. So yeah, it's easier, right? Than having the same place and the same patterns and habits.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, there's also a desire to kind of like, can you tell me where I'm going to be? I know we were talking about before we started about doing maybe that you could do a tarot read for me, which will be really fun. And I'm like, I'll take any guidance or any direction that they want to tell me what they want from me next. And as far as love life, as far as career, any of that stuff, I'll take whatever guidance can flow through. So it's been wild. It's been wild.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about like what got you started on your spiritual journey. Where did that start? Did that start when you were a kid, or was that later in life?
You mean this lifetime, right?
Yep. Yep. We're just going to focus on this lifetime today.
When in this life? Because there were a few other lifetimes that I was probably much more spiritual than I was out of the gate in this lifetime. No, I'm just joking with you. I think a lot of people, especially, people over a certain age, got kind of, awakened by Shirley MacLaine. She opened a lot of doors and a lot of minds.
That was a long time ago, though. That was in the 80s, right?
That was in the 80s. So I'm definitely aging myself, but that's, you can't hide that. That's just,
So that's kind of when your awakening started?
Yeah, I think when I saw Out on the Limb, I saw the mini series on that. It was just like so many concepts thrown at you at once. And I've also had been having a recurring dream that I call a dreamery, which is a dream that's a memory. And then just started kind of exploring all of those kinds of concepts. And then it wasn't until, maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago that I started writing. I wrote my first book in 2006, but that was a nonfiction one about 5 reasons why bad things happen. But it wasn't until about 10 years ago that I started writing fiction and started writing reincarnation stories and just loved writing it. It's just so much fun.
How fun. I love it. I'm definitely going to read some of your books. So So what inspired you to write that first book?
The 5 reasons why bad things happen. I was going through a really difficult time in my life. I had a business that failed, so I was going through a loss of the business. I went through bankruptcy, foreclosure on my house, a relationship ended, my dog died. I mean,
Oh,
a lot of stuff at once.
yeah,
And of course, there are people with worse problems, so I'm not going to pretend like, oh, I was just the worst possible. But it was still an emotional thing.
sure.
And I kept trying to think, there's got to be a reason. There's got to be a reason. I just was kind of compelled with this. And one day I'm kind of meditating and it's like, oh, yeah, here are the 5 reasons. And so I started doing a lot of research and hundreds of books, researching what are these reasons? How might this work? And then just, it just kind of flowed. But I never thought I'd write fiction at that time. I just thought, well, I have a logical mind. I can do the research. I can lay out an argument and write that. Um,
Yeah.
but
Now,
that's
can you
that's
tell us what the 5 reasons are? Or do we need to read the book?
I will definitely guide you down a lot of the paths so that you've got a kind of a sneak peek into it. The first thing I'll say, kind of the big thing, is there's an overarching thing that all 5 reasons have in common, and that is to get you to change something. So if
Yeah.
you're not going down the right path, like your landlord will raise the rent 50%, or if they want you to do something else, or if there's somewhere you're supposed to go, or you're just not quite getting there, then all of them have that in common, right? Is to get something to change, whether it's your perspective, your physical position, your physical health, that kind of thing. And I'm really am a big believer in that there's a why. And if you go, my website is reasonswhy.com, so it's easy to find. And there's a bunch of sample chapters, so people can go on there. And I start with a list of what I call basic assumptions that says, okay, if you believe these basic assumptions, then I'll explain every bad thing. If you don't, it's hard for me to say, yes, there is a belief in some sort of higher power, whatever term you want to use, or that we have a soul, or there is some confluence about fate and destiny and free will, some things like that, that are just kind of basic principles. So I'm not going to try to convince somebody that there's, a higher power.
So
Like I said,
someone needs to really believe those things to
yes,
really believe those 5 reasons.
that's right. The five reasons will explain everything if you believe those things. So anyway, that whole list of the assumptions is on the website, so anybody can listen to it.
Okay.
The first one is what I call subconscious sabotage. And one of the things that was most profound as I was researching the book and getting into this whole thing, because so much of it was meditative and like getting messages, and then I'd go research, okay, what does this mean? Basically, and this is one of the basic assumptions, is that the concept is that we have a soul that existed before we were born and will exist after we die. And that soul, and you know about souls and happy souls, that soul chooses a body to become us. Okay. So, and if you believe in reincarnation, you can believe that happens over and over again. If you don't, it still means the same thing. And so then you've got the concept of, there's a mind, whether you want to call it spirit, mind, body, super conscious, conscious, subconscious, super ego, however, whatever terms you want to use for that, higher self, outer self, inner self, again, whatever term. One thing that blew my mind as I was figuring this out was that the body is the subconscious. And that the body has its own level of consciousness and its own personality, its own energy. It's got all that genetic history that we know about. We choose the family. All of that stuff comes with the body we choose. So if your body had chosen, or your soul had chosen my body, it would be really different. Or vice versa. And so it's that blending that becomes us. And when I realized the body is the subconscious, then you start going, okay, now I understand what subconscious sabotage is. It's when your body is not in alignment with where you're trying to go, generally in conflict with your mind, right? So my mind said, go to Italy, for a year. And in that case, my body was kind of like, okay, I don't know. But the super conscious and the team was like, no, we want you here. But when the
So
body
your body,
not,
you're saying that the body was seeing like the, I guess maybe like had the worry. Is that what you're saying? Like maybe
the
you were worried about
body
money or worried about.
Yes, body had some concern. And then of course, like I said, the higher realms or the super conscious, whatever term you want to use. But anyway, the body can sabotage you. Like if you ever eaten something you shouldn't eat, and all of a sudden you're like, I just ate that donut, I don't even remember eating it, is when your body will sneak something in that's bad for you to get, if you're not paying attention. And one of the favorite stories I like to tell as far as a body and subconscious sabotage is a friend of mine was a workaholic, and she was going to work. It was a Labor Day weekend many years ago, and she was going to work the whole weekend. And she goes and gets takeout food, comes out of the restaurant, trips and twists her ankle, and she's in bed all weekend. That's her body going, nip, 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 nip. I am not going to work all weekend. So when you get to know your body, that can change everything. And I'm a firm believer. There's a religion called the Huna religion. Are you familiar with Huna at all?
I'm not.
You've heard the expression, the big kahuna?
Yep.
That's the head of the Huna tribe. So that's where that expression comes from. And the Huna religion suggests having a name for your body. And that was really a big revelation for me. So if you get a name for your body and you say, okay, and she'll tell you, you can't tell her, it just doesn't work that way. She'll say, this is my name. Then you can start kind of coordinating with your body and go, okay, what do you want to do today? Where are we? And you can be attentive when you're eating so that you remember every bite. And so then you can say to your body, okay, you're nervous about going to this country, or nervous about staying in this place or doing these things. And you can work it out instead of them blocking the path to getting something. And so even with healing, I was talking with somebody not long ago, and they're dealing with a huge victim mentality. And their body is not coordinating very well with that. And so I was saying, well, if you're going to want to do any healing work, because I sometimes do some healing work, I said, you're going to have to let go of that victim mentality. And she wasn't ready to do that. Just not ready.
Yeah. And sometimes people just aren't, sometimes we like hanging on to those things because I don't know if it's comfort or, you don't want to change things. You just, like the status quo is sometimes easier, even if it's bad.
Totally right. And I went through a period of a number of years ago of kind of tying on the victim mentality myself. It's powerful. You get a lot of people coming to your side. Oh, wow, let's all get together and go against whatever this force is. It's hard to give up, but it's really toxic too.
Because it makes you full of excuses. It makes you, it limits you very, like in multiple ways.
Right. It limits you, and it gives you somebody to blame, and then you don't take responsibility for your own life.
Yeah, it takes that accountability away.
Yeah. In fact, I've been in this mode of watching a lot of videos on attachment theory. I don't know if you're into any of that stuff as far as different attachment.
A little bit. I've not looked into it really, not a lot.
Yeah. And there's some people that they're called dismissive avoidance, and you get really close to them and then they'll go run for the hills. As soon as it gets really close, they run for the hills, and they can be really dismissive on that. And I'm watching some of these videos, and I understand this, and this is one of those other lessons that I needed to sign up to learn. And then I realized, but there also is a reason that I drew that to me, that these people that are feeling the victim, they have to learn what their lesson was, is why they pulled that to themselves. So, and again, it's just your body saying, your body wants to do healthy stuff. It just wants your attention. And I've told people, if you get your name for your body, usually it'll be like when you wake up in the morning or you're taking a shower or something, when your mind is kind of a little bit turned off. And make sure you listen, because I had a friend.
Do you mean a literal name, like
a literal name,
Sally or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I had one
So
friend of
what
a
do you
friend.
call your body?
She doesn't want me to tell the
Oh,
world, but I'll tell you
okay.
privately, because
Okay.
it's really personal, right? And then
Yeah.
somebody can manipulate that and go, okay, I know your body is this, and I can go have a conversation with, with this. So
Hmm.
it's not that I don't trust you. It's just an
Yeah.
energy
Well,
thing.
yeah, we don't want to put that out for the world.
She's
Yeah. Okay.
protected, yeah. And but I had a friend, and they said, a friend of a friend, and they said it was Horus, and they hated their body's name. And I was like, Horus is like a major philosopher. Are you kidding? That's a great
Hmm.
name. But one thing is, when you get the name and you start kind of trying to make friends, pay attention and start listening. Because I had a friend of mine, she got the name really, really quickly. For her, it had been like an invisible friend or a child, one of those imaginary friends as a child. And then she calls me 2 weeks later and she says, okay, something's crazy here. I know I closed and locked the front door of the house, and it was wide open the next morning.
Mm.
I know I set my alarm. The alarms, I'm like, yeah, they'll do that to get your attention. Like, you can't just say, I want to make friends with you and then just ignore them. But when you do,
Wow.
like, people tell me sometimes that they'll notice when I'm eating that I remember every bite, right? And how often do we do that? So
Barely, I'm sure.
yeah. So when you get to know your body, you can say, hey, why are you holding on to this illness? Or why are you holding on to this, pain, or this, whatever it is? So anyway, that's one of the reasons why bad things happen, right? Is that your body can sabotage you if it's
Mhm.
not in alignment with what you want. And a good example is, I was talking to somebody about like a dog, and people have a dog and they're like, yell at the dog when the dog goes the wrong way. And instead, I'm like, no, no, no. You say, isn't it fun over here? And the dog's like, yes, I'll go over here.
Right.
You
You
got to
you
kind of
flip
work
it
with
to
your,
positive. Yeah.
yeah, 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 exactly. It's like, you don't want to be yelled at. The body doesn't want to be yelled at, doesn't
Hmm.
want to be resented, doesn't want to be forced beyond its limit, but will cooperate really, really well. So that's the first one.
So let me
This,
let me ask you something then. Like there's a lot of body image issues, right? Like a lot of people have body image issues. How does that affect our relationship with our body?
I mean, how do you think?
I feel like it definitely has to be negative. Definitely has to be, detrimental to probably our physical health and emotional health.
And yes, exactly. And our relationships and everything else. I mean, but when you start getting a name and you start talking to her and you love her and you appreciate her and she's getting you from point A to point B. I mean, I had somebody talking to me and saying, okay, we were talking about getting the name for the body. And this particular person was dealing with a serious health issue with their spouse, as a matter of fact. And I was like, get this conversation, because if let's just say you and I were engaging in a first step of a relationship, my body and your body are talking, and that's got to work well. So there's got to be a compatibility on all mind, body, spirit levels, right? And if you're not in love with your own body, or at least taking care of her and nurturing her and showing gratitude for her, she's not going to like that very much. And it's like yelling at the dog, and you keep beating the dog, and the dog
So
just,
it's almost like the body rebels when we
yes,
don't treat it right, kind of like a
yes,
teenager.
yes, yes. I was doing some healing work on somebody a number of years ago, and it was just so interesting because I didn't know this person. It was a friend of a friend, and very serious illness. I won't get too personal because I don't want to out him, but I mean, like, very close to death, very serious illness. And then I come to him and I say, and so my friend says, I think you can help him. And my first thing was, why did it happen? And his super conscious just came in, higher self came in and just answered the question. Like, it
Mhm.
happened because he needs to do this and he's not doing that. And he's going down this path and this is where he's going. And he needed to get his ass kicked. And, and then he was like instantly cured. I mean, like,
Wow.
he was supposed to have another surgery within 2 days of that, and he didn't have to have it. He got to the why. So you get to the why, the healing is just incredible. So,
Yeah.
so I don't know if you want to go down to all the other reasons, but that gives you an example anyway.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. And So everyone can just get your book and read it, right? Read the other reasons, learn all the things, and then can they find those on your website?
Yes, there's yeah, and there's also, you can go to reasonswhy.com if you want to look at all the sample chapters. There's a chapter on forgiveness, which was really fun to write. In fact, I've got a new meditation on forgiveness that I'm going to be offering to everybody for free too, because that's a concept that's kind of,
That is a
confused.
huge, huge deal because that, unforgiveness causes I mean, it destroys relationships, it destroys mental health, it destroys all kinds of things. So it's so bad for us on so many levels when we don't forgive. And so a lot of times people think that forgiveness is about the other person. No, it's about you. It's about you letting it go and being able to move on. It's not about that other person deserving it. It's not about that other person even caring if they're forgiven. But it really, it really causes so much damage to us when we hold unforgiveness in, and it leads to health issues, physical as well as mental and emotional
Yeah,
and
and one
spiritual.
thing, yeah, I agree. And also, within this meditation, one of the elements in it is to forgive yourself and forgive your
Mhm.
body and forgive for yourself for missing whatever. Because if it's a relationship kind of forgiveness, or whatever it is, like, what was it that drew you this situation? Why did you allow it to happen? Because you could be resenting yourself for letting something happen to you.
Yeah,
And so
the guilt and shame
the
that
guilt
we
and
feel when
shame.
we make bad choices.
Right. And then we also have to realize hurt people are the ones that hurt people. So those person that I mean, so it's this build to build, and it's only a 3 or 4 minute meditation. But I know when I did it kind of for myself, and I thought, well, I'm going to record this because I think it can help people. Yeah, it was just like this. I call it the weight of forgiveness. I mean, I think you can actually lose weight
Yeah.
when you let that stuff go. But you've got to get to the why of it too, right? You can't pretend that you forgive. And if somebody wants to be forgiven, you were kind of hinting to that. I say, well, there's 4 steps they have to go through if they want to be forgiven, right? And the first step is they have to
Yeah.
apologize sincerely. The second step is they have to admit their wrongdoing and be clear. Like, I know what I did was wrong, and I understand what it was. I understand how that affected you. The third step is to make amends, and the fourth step is to never do it again. Because there is a lot of damage done in people who say they're sorry, but they have no intention of
Yeah,
changing.
there's a lot of empty apologies out there and,
Yeah, yeah,
real
and I say,
change.
an apology without change is manipulation. It's not an apology.
Mhm.
You
Yep.
know.
Yep.
So anyway, there's all kinds of good stuff on that, the Reasons Why website or my website. I'm the only Brownell Landrum in the world, so it's easy to find.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to talk real quick about your the We Meet Again series.
Yeah.
So you describe it as the Da Vinci Code meets Outlander with the added splash of reincarnation and past lives. And also there's a secret society. Tell us a little bit about that. That sounds cool. This is a series of books, right?
This is a trilogy. It's coming out in a few days. And so
All three
I'm
are coming out in a
all
few
three. I'm
days.
launching all three because it's one of those, it's like you want to read the second one. If you read the first one, you don't want to wait. And I don't know about you, but as a reader, it drives me crazy if I have to wait
Yeah, I
forever
hate
to,
having to wait.
yeah. Yeah, it's like an epic reincarnation mystery. It's about a famous couple from history who is reincarnated today to fulfill a prophecy that'll change the world. So you can kind of imagine, like, what if you just meet somebody and all of a sudden you realize not just that you've had a past life, but that, like, it was significant and that you're born again to be together to do something important. And so it was so much fun to write. I mean, it took me years, as I'm sure you can imagine.
I bet.
And it starts out with a modern day couple and they meet, and there's something there, as I think we all
So
know
they
that
don't
feeling.
know when they first meet
When they first meet, his first
because
words
they've
to her
forgotten
are,
that, right?
right. His first words to her are, "We meet again." And she's like, "We haven't met," but then have they? Right. So it's kind of
Hmm.
like there's some aura of that. And then they start having these memories of a past life in 1930s in Brazil. and they're protecting this painting that is coveted by important, powerful forces. And so, and then you start getting deeper, and there's a previous lifetime in another book in the Renaissance where they meet Shakespeare and hang out with Giordano Bruno. I don't know if you know who Giordano Bruno was, but he's probably one of my number one heroes in history. He was an Italian friar, priest, and he got caught reading Copernicus and got banished from Italy because that was a sin and it was heresy. He said that the earth went around the sun, and that was against the rules. You couldn't say that. He said the universe is infinite. Like he was a big believer in reincarnation. And there's a lot of interesting evidence suggesting that maybe Shakespeare was inspired by Bruno, and that maybe they've even met because he spent 2 years in England in 1583 and 84. So it was fun weaving my characters into that part of the story. And then that's where sort of we see what the secret society is that's been carrying this information for millennia, really. And a lot of it traces back. I don't know how much you know about tracing back to Pythagoras, but he's also kind of the dude in history. We all know the triangle theory, right? But and I kind of hint in my book that maybe Bruno was the reincarnation of Pythagoras, because there's a lot of similarities there. So I kind of teased that concept, and I'd love to play that further. But he was the first big believer in reincarnation. So it's like, but if you look at history, when did reincarnation, like, it was so mainstream. Everybody believed in it 2,000 years ago. Christianity was based in it 2,000 years ago. I mean, everybody believed it. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, they were all students of Pythagoras. I mean, it was like the mainstream thing to believe. And then all of a sudden, why not anymore, right? And I'm sure you probably know some of that research about, about how it's been done. So it gets into, if you can imagine, if there is something that's a concept like that, there's some people that want to hide it. Some people want to control it. Some people want to, everybody in the world to hear about it. It gets into a really interesting part of that. So, and it's also sexy and fun and romantic and, adventurous and all those kind of good things all together in one.
I love that. I love that because, I do past life regressions. I do QHHT, and, I get to hear so many interesting stories, while people are under the hypnosis, and just, and sometimes we don't, sometimes the lives aren't that exciting. Sometimes we don't go very deep, but sometimes you really get those past lives where they're so detailed, and we'll spend 30, 40 minutes just like going through this lifetime and seeing all the things and, all the experiences, and then the death scene. And it's just so fascinating, just just the concept of reincarnation and, who we were in past lives. And, most people are really oblivious to that. Very few people dig into who they were before, like who they've been. Well, a lot of people don't even believe in it, but even the ones who do, so few of them really get into it and do those, either go for, the sessions, or, even you can do meditations and see past lifetimes. And past lives, that is my, I just love it. Like I'm always fascinated. I always want to hear people's past lives. I'm like, tell me who you were. And so that's always so cool to me to just see that. And all of us, we all have had multiple past lives. Some people even say thousands. Really, no one really knows, right? We don't know. And it's just so. I just love hearing and really I love walking people through it and getting to kind of get a, like a front row seat to it. But it's just so fascinating. So I love that you've written books about it. And that, these are fiction books, right?
Yes.
Except but
Well,
they're
I was to say the story, the end is when it gets a little bit autobiographical. And my first novels are kind of just a love story about a couple, and then you go back into some of those past lives as well. And as you're talking, I want to make sure you join the Life is a Trip group on Facebook, and maybe come in there and share some of those stories if your clients, or if they want to share their stories, because that's the whole purpose of that group, is to share stories. And I'm very clear saying they can be fictional or factual. So when you say we don't really know, and we don't have to put a rule on it. We don't have to prove anything to anybody. The stories themselves are fascinating and meaningful. And then, I did a spinoff from that group to a podcast now. And it's not an interview one like this. It is basically people writing and sharing stories. And so there's all these different kinds of stories that people can listen to. And again, they can be fictional or factual. And the only rule I have is that I don't really want horror stories, because I just don't think that's the energy that I want to convey. But, as you said, I mean, there are a lot of people. I mean, 1.5 billion people in this planet believe in reincarnation. 30% of Americans, according to some research. And that's if they're saying yes or no. And I bet there's a lot in between that, like, maybe I think so.
Yeah.
And there's just not enough stories. So I want to celebrate writers that write these stories. People that have books, maybe have an excerpt that they can, that's a story in and of itself, that they can share, and just get these out there and get more writers. We're on IMDb, so writers can get credit there. And I'm just having so much fun celebrating these writers, getting their stories out there, getting their words out there. And some are humorous, some are really, heart-wrenching, some are thought-provoking. They kind of cross the gambit. So I want to encourage you and all of your people that you work with, if you've got a story, if it's just hey, I remember this, let me share this experience. The website's perfect. I mean, the Facebook group's great. Again, Life is a Trip, Reincarnation Stories is the name of both the podcast and the Facebook group. And if it's like a real story, like with a beginning, middle, and end, like you craft a story, then that could be great for a podcast. So I'm so with you. These are important and interesting and fun. And it's time.
And there's so many lessons we can learn from them too, especially when it's a past lifetime we've had, like we can, because there's things we carry over, right? There's things we bring over from these lifetimes. And it's so good to really dive into your past lives, because you can find out things, sometimes we bring over illnesses, we bring over physical conditions. And once we know that, we can let go of them and be healed. I've seen it. And I've seen it myself during sessions, but also a lot of other practitioners. There's so many stories out there because we pull stuff over, and a lot of emotional things we pull over, trauma, fears, guilts, all these things that we think, well, something's wrong with us because nothing ever happened in this lifetime to cause that. But then once we do a past life regression or a QHHT session, we can kind of see, that's from that lifetime. I've brought that over. And it's so much easier for us to be able to let those things go. So I think even if the stories are fiction, I believe that there's so many lessons that can be learned from those, from your books. So I'm sure super thought-provoking, and you can kind of see when you're reading them too, that, this makes sense as to why. I'm sure in your stories, there's probably some crossovers too, from your couples who are seeing who they've been in past lives.
Totally. They've got the issues from before and, unresolved. I mean, because then when you're saying all the things they bring, illness or whatever, relationship issues are, and then as we're planning our life, when we're planning the next life, we set out some of the things that we want to learn and some of the key people and some maybe soul contracts that we might have. Yeah. So, that's why I want, because the bigger the podcast gets and the better stories we have, then more people are going to come to people like you and say, can you help me find mine? Right. So it's going to build that interest and then add that more dimension, because I really do believe that, personally, it doesn't really matter if people believe in reincarnation to me, but the ability to open somebody's mind up to a possibility of that and to learn whatever you're, like you're saying, it doesn't matter if I can prove it or it's factual or whatever. If it helps you live a better life and it opens your mind and you start thinking, oh, I might have always had a prejudice against blah, blah, blah. And then you realize, hey, I was that in another lifetime, because we've been, there's lyrics to a song I wrote for one of the stories I wrote that's, the soul has no gender, no creed, and no race. Love can be found in any face. Right.
Oh,
so now all of a sudden you've got different meaning to, we've been men and women, we've been different nationalities, we've been different religions, we've been different socioeconomic, we've been rich and poor, we've been illness and healthy. In fact, I started writing.
If everyone would realize that, then there couldn't be racism because we would really be against ourselves. There couldn't be sexism because, we've been both genders and we've been all these things. And I think, it would heal so many people and take away so many of those prejudices if people just realize
that's exactly,
that they've been there, whether they remember it or not.
Yeah, exactly. And so, or, and I don't know about you, but sometimes you think, okay, I would be really interesting to see this. You treated this person in this lifetime. Maybe next time you come back and you're in that situation, and let's see how you feel about it.
Yeah, we sign up to learn those lessons a lot of the times. And then, sometimes things happen to change that. But a lot of times we sign up for that. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Where can someone find you? Anyone who's looking for a book? I know you mentioned reasonswhy.com, but you have another website and you also have a Facebook page, right?
I have all kinds of places to find me. As I said, I'm the only Brownell Landrum, so you can Google me and find me. I have a Brownell Landrum.
Very unique name.
Yes.
So, yeah.
BrownellLandrum.com. So, you can find all my stuff there. You can find my Life is a Trip Reincarnation Stories Facebook group, and I'd love to invite everybody there. That also can lead to looking up the Life is a Trip Reincarnation Stories podcast. And the end, please find me and download a copy of that story because I really want people to read The End, A Love Story to the Universe. And also the first book in my We Meet Again series is 99 cents, so you can kind of check it out for pretty cheap. And so I'm hoping people do that too. So, I'm sure you Google me and you'll find me all over the place.
Nice. No, that's awesome. Yeah. Everyone go and buy these books because that sounds super fun.
It is.
I'm going to get your books and read them. So
I'm excited for that. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to have you on here. I loved hearing all your stories and hearing at least the first 2 reasons bad things happen. So I definitely want to go now and look for the rest and find out all the details. So thank you for taking time out of your day to do this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. So now we're going to shift to some live readings. If anyone's on who wants a live reading, I'm going to be I know I've got a virtual background on tonight, so it's like I know it's kind of weird. I'm going to be reading from the Akashic Tarot and the Animal Guides deck. And so if you want a reading, just comment. And if you want a general reading, just put general. If you have a specific question, then put your question in there and I will do the reading. And I'm going to start with giving you a reading, Brownell. So is there anything?
Yeah, because I don't know where I'm going and what I'm doing in my life. So I don't, whatever you want or, whatever shows up would be great.
Okay. All right. Okay. Typically, I just pull 1 card every now and then 2, but I'm going to pull 2 from the Akashic Tarot for you and 1 from the Animal Guides deck.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Okay. So the first card is, I know you probably can't see it. It's called the Reflection card.
Okay.
And it's reversed. It's reversed. So basically what this is telling me is that,
A reflection is reversed. That's right there is already profound, right? Because a reflection by definition is reversed. So are you reversing the reversal?
no, I don't think that's it. I think that this is about inner work, about
Okay.
turning, you look in a mirror and you see yourself, right? And turning inward. So that's what I'm seeing, is that turning inward and working on your inner self. And I feel like you've already been doing that. I feel like this card is more the universe saying, good job on doing that inner work, doing the self-care. There's some areas you could improve on for self-care and taking care of yourself. I feel like you like taking care of others and you don't put as much focus on yourself as you should. And then the other card is the lightning bolt, and it's the Eight of Forces. And what this is telling me is that what I'm hearing is step back, take better care of yourself, and it'll make you more powerful. It'll give you more power to do the things that you've been called to do. But it's very hard to do the things you're called to do when you're not taking care of you 100%. So a step back is really a step forward. And now I have animal guides. I feel like this one's going to tell us where you're going.
Sounds good.
Oh, I got chills when I said that. Okay. All right. Okay. So it's the Page of Air, and it's a bird flying. I always love birds flying because that always means soaring, right? Soaring to that next level, to that next step. But it also means freedom, freedom to grow, freedom to get to that next level that you need to get to toward fulfilling your purpose and your, what you came here to do. This is a seagull. So the Page of Air, it says this is an intellectual challenge that calls upon your ability to think of a matching solution. If helpful information is put to you bluntly, accept the message without being bothered by the messenger. So I think that's saying, take that criticism, it'll help you grow. So if someone comes to you with maybe some constructive criticism, sometimes our first inclination is to be like, who do you think you are, kind of thing. But I think it's saying there's someone in your life who is trying to help you, and it may feel like their approach is, and their approach may be wrong, but their reason is for your good, and what they're doing is trying to help you to grow. So there's someone in your life who is helping you, who is trying to help you soar. I feel like it's saying it's you. I feel like it's saying that you are being too rough on you. Like maybe you are. Yeah, see, I feel like all of these are you. None of these are like another person. These are all you, and it's inner work. It's inner work that you need to focus on. And maybe you've been hard on yourself on something lately that maybe you didn't meet your own expectations. And it's saying to give yourself a break, but listen to those inner criticisms, but use them as a way to elevate you to the next level. Does that make sense?
It does, because, as I'm now, trying to launch my books, and when I've launched my first novels, I didn't really do any marketing, right? And so, and then of course you get what you put out, right? And then this time I'm like trying to do every single step. And at some point you just have to go, I've got to let it go and let what happens, and do my best, but not push myself like freakishly hard. And I've got a few days before the trilogy launches, and I know my my spiritual self is like, I want you to write, let's go back to writing. That's what we have fun. I'm like, no, I've got all these to do things. And I kind of am in this point of saying, at some point, I just have to say I've done everything I can. And if it's not fun to do, not do it, and try to just relax. Because it's just been, I've just put a lot of pressure on myself. So I think exactly what you're saying is like,
what I'm hearing is don't be attached to the outcome, be attached to the work. Attach the work, attached to the purpose, not attached to the outcome.
Yeah, and I do feel like that.
A million copies or
the outcome
10,
is the
don't be attached to the outcome, because the people who are meant to read your work and purchase the books they're going to get, the people who need them are going to get them. Don't be attached to the outcome, and that'll make you more successful in the sales. What's that? Say that again.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say one of the things that is for me, I'm pressuring myself to just do all the checklist of all the things I have to do. It's less about the outcome, but it is about like, okay, did I check every box? And at some point I just have to give up and just go, I've checked a lot of boxes. I'm gonna, I need to take a break. And then, I totally you never know what's going to resonate with people. You never know if you're going to get the call from Hollywood. You never know any of that. And I just want people, like the end, I want people to read it. It's free. It's not like worrying about there's, money attached. And the podcast, I just want people to listen to it. So I'm very much releasing the outcome. I think it's just the pushing myself hard to check all those boxes, within this window of time before it launches. And then I can relax. So anyway, thank you so much. That's really very interesting.
Awesome. Good. Thank you. Okay. So now we have a few people. We have 3. So we've got Vicki. So I'm going to read for you, Vicki. All right. And you said general. Okay. General. All right. Okay. So I got clearing the way, and it's reversed. If it's upright, it's showing, it's a picture of a wagon, and there's a tree blocking the path. So basically they're having to get out and move the tree so they can get on by. And this was reversed. So what I'm seeing is there was some kind of obstacle. I feel like this was maybe at work. Maybe there was an obstacle that you recently overcame. Maybe it's not work. No, this is at work. This is at work, or something you do. I don't know what you do for a living, or if you work, but it has something to do with some type of work that you do. This could be volunteer work, or this could be your job. But there was an obstacle that was recently resolved, or so-called resolved, but there's still some lingering, I don't want to say hurt feelings, lingering resentments, maybe something like that. There's some kind of something lingering that still needs to be cleared. It still needs to be cleared. So I'm not real sure what that is. I'm not getting anything specific. I feel like it's work, and that there's something that you still need to overcome to fully resolve the situation, to fully be fulfilled and happy where you are. Yeah. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to pull an animal card for you too, because I didn't get, that's not super clear to me. I just feel like there's something in the way still. So let's see. Okay. So we got the 2 of water, and it's these two little lovebirds. Okay. You're falling in love or experiencing a deepening of emotion in your current relationship. Marriages or romantic partnerships in distress can still be saved. Don't give up. So, see, at first I felt like the clearing the way, I felt like the obstacle was in a relationship, but it could be in a relationship at work. Could be, no, it doesn't have to be necessarily a romantic relationship. Maybe there's a relationship that's strained at work. So I'm just seeing that it it can still be resolved. That's what I'm hearing, is that the situation can still be resolved, but it still needs to be worked on to get it to where it needs to be. That's all I'm getting. That's all I'm getting. I'm not getting real clarity on that. So I'm hoping that was helpful. If you have, like, if any of that made sense and you want like another card pulled for something specific, let me know. But that's all I'm really getting from that one. All right, Robin, do you just want a regular Robin? I'm feeling an animal card for you, Robin. Just a general. I only have a couple tonight. Usually we have a bunch of people on here wanting readings. So making my life easy. I love doing these, but sometimes it gets to be a lot. Okay. Robin, it's got a dog on it, and I know that that's so you. I know that you I know you do some animal rescue, I think. Is that right? Seems like I remember you do animal rescue. But you got the collie. And the collie says your current path isn't leading you toward the happiest possible outcome. So why not change it? Always maintain integrity and compassion, but be alert to the hidden agendas of others. I need another card. I love that you got the dog. Yeah, let's see what the next card says. So there's something maybe that you're working on, maybe in a volunteer role. That seems to be a theme. I heard the word volunteer in when I did Vicky's too. And okay, volunteering. You got the Two of Fire, which is a pelican. It says your vision, creativity, and dedication to your cause have brought you great success. In fact, it may be your best interest to get a partner to assist in your endeavors or expand the number of people helping you. So have you been maybe working in some kind of volunteer capacity, or helping someone do something? Maybe that's it. But you're not fulfilled. I'm seeing that you're not fulfilled in doing it, or I think I just heard that you're doing it maybe out of obligation instead of out of really wanting to. So what I'm hearing is stop doing things that don't give you joy. Stop doing things to satisfy other people, and stop doing things that aren't in your best interest. So whatever it is that you're doing it's taking your peace. I'm hearing that it's stealing your peace because you're people pleasing. You're putting other people's needs in front of your own. And you have to put your life, your mask, what's it called in the airplane? You got to put your mask on first. So something's stealing your peace, and you need to get away from it, and you need to make that decision, whatever that is. Let's see, here is Vicky. Again, pull one more asking if I should move. Okay. Brownell asked that question too, and I didn't see it. So let's see if I see it for Vicky. Should she move? So you got the Queen of Keys. I know you guys can't really see this. I don't know why I keep showing you. And it was turned. It was reversed. The Queen. Any of the Queen cards are typically about you if you're a woman, or a strong woman in your life. So for this, I see that this is about you. And the Queen of Keys, I think that's hilarious because you just asked if you should move. And I'm feeling like you mean like literally like move locations. And I just think it's funny that it's the Queen of Keys, because if that's what you're wanting, you're asking if you should move locations, then I think that I don't even think I have to say anymore, because the Queen of Keys is, giving you the keys, right? Giving you the keys, which is here, go and move to your new place. Here's your keys, kind of thing. And that's what I'm feeling with that is, but what I'm feeling also is that you already know the answer. You already know the answer to the question. You just wanted some confirmation, or maybe maybe you didn't like the answer. Maybe you don't want to move. But I'm hearing yes, you should move. But yeah, the Queen of Keys says, "There's your keys. Take them and go." So I hope that was helpful. All right, I think that's everyone. So I'm going to hide that. Again, thank you so much, Brownell, for being on here. This has been super fun. I love doing this. I love meeting new people and learning all about their life's work and, spiritual journeys. So yes, she said, yes, you're correct. I already knew. Yeah, so I thought so. Okay. Well, thank you again. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone who has been watching or anyone who will watch later. And make sure you check out Brownell's website, brownelllandrum.com, right? And then just search her name. You're not going to find anyone else with that name. So find her Facebook and all the things, and go on her website, buy her books. And so that's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you next time on the